The horrific shootings at Bondi Beach in Australia cast a shadow over Hanukkah celebrations this year. Rising anti-Semitism is leaving many in our local Jewish community feeling vulnerable and unsupported. But in the darkness, there was a flicker of light in a note left on the door of a synagogue in Westmount. Chad Lubelski is the executive director of Temple Emanu-El-Beth Sholom. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
First of all, how are you doing? I know it's been a very difficult Hanukkah this year. How are you?
Oh, it's nice of you to ask. Like many, I think, mixed emotions, and you're holding multiple emotions at the same time. So what is going on does bring despair and some darkness, but then community reaction, our community, other communities, allied communities have been very heartwarming and welcoming and wonderful. And that's very uplifting at the same time.
That is good to hear. And one of those uplifting messages was left in a note just after the Bondi Beach attack on the door of the synagogue. And I want to ask you, before we get into the details of the note, what was going through your mind when you were told there was a note?
Unfortunately, my immediate reaction was not a positive one. Temple, unfortunately, had a swastika painted on it earlier this year. And so when one of my colleagues came to see me and said that there was a note in our front door and I had to see it, I was worried. I was very, very worried. And, I felt my heart in my throat, my chest constrict. And I greeted the news with trepidation, but then quite quickly I discovered that I should be having the opposite reaction.
I wonder if you would mind reading the note for us.
Sure, absolutely. So the note is right here, just behind me, a little hard to see, but here it is on screen. To the Jewish community, you are not alone. We will not be silent. We have not and will never tolerate anti-Semitism in our city. We have your back. May God bless you and keep you safe. Happy Hanukkah. Love, your Christian neighbors.
A very simple message, but what did that message mean to you?
In some ways, it means the whole world, right? It means that we're seen, that people are taking a concrete gesture of allyship. It means that sometimes the bad things in the darkness can feel louder, and that's what we hear mostly of. But I firmly believe that the good far outweighs the bad in the world, and it's nice to have concrete evidence of that sometimes. And this was a wonderful example of it. And, I would even add, we have security cameras all over Temple, of course. And we deliberately chose not to look at the video to see who left the note. We much preferred that it remain a mystery. That way, it could be anyone, and it could be everyone at the same time that left the note.
That's a lovely, lovely way to approach this. What are some ways that other people who may want to show their support and maybe have been silent or reticent to be an ally to the Jewish community in the face of this rising anti-Semitism and also other groups that might be facing hate right now as well?
Absolutely. I think for any community that's feeling this in the moment, Jewish, Islamic, there's a rise in Islamophobia as well, which we can never negate. You can call send a text, just reach out to anybody you happen to know who's Jewish or who's Muslim. You can show up to their events. You can approach things with curiosity. You can better understand their perspective. We had our Shabbat Hanukkah last Friday night at Temple, and we had people from the Christian community, Muslim community, all show up. And even if some of them had never been in a synagogue before and they were curious about some of our customs and our practices, they were there out of curiosity. They were there to learn. They were to show allyship. And so on a community level and on an individual level, just reaching out, it's a very, very concrete and tangible act. And I can assure you that every text message I got from my friends and family meant all the world to me.
Does this kind of gesture and others that you've received make you hopeful about the future?
It does. It absolutely does. It's, you read the news sometimes and that can be a bit sobering. But then when you see that most people just want to do good and we have this fundamental empathetic and human connection, that does make me very hopeful. And that can sometimes feel like it's easy to get lost. And so when it comes back and it's at the fore and it feels so much more tangible and meaningful, how can it not help you be hopeful?
It's wonderful to hear. Chad Lubelski, thank you so much for sharing this with us.
Thank you. And all the best for the holidays.